There is a quiet erosion happening. It's not catastrophic. It's sinister. It's slow. It's constant. Like a stream shaping a stone, it wears away at our sense of self. We've been taught to wake up earlier. We are encouraged to train harder. We are led to optimize our diets, our calendars, our thoughts. We barter for biohacking routines into numbness. We chase more mastery and call it meaning. But no one asks what happens when more becomes a mausoleum. The texts that provided the start to an answer were similar but siloed. Kierkegaard wrote about the quiet loss of self. Nietzsche obsessed over the weight of purpose. Merton warned of the violence buried in our overwork. They weren't lamenting different things. They're circling the same fracture, the same sickness beneath all our striving. In the middle of that silence, not in defiance of it, but in deep response to it, for me, sat Galatians 5:16. So I say, walk by the Spirit, and you will not gratify the desires of the flesh. I was in pursuit of something that was stronger than the allure of commercial success or the false reassurance of material markers. Galatians provided a center in self-improvement that didn't collapse under the pressure of these mortal whims. For me, the Spirit here offers something deeper, not just stability or achievement, but transformation, not belief, but alignment. Let me share with you the answer to my aching about what happens after you build the discipline every channel on YouTube is sermonizing about. The greatest hazard of all, losing one's self, can occur very quietly in the world as if it were nothing at all. The dichotomy of change is more complex than repetitions, memorizations, and full immersion. While it is often sold as a forced mutation, change should act as a return to alignment. Through my experience in religion, commerce, and existence, we often champion a very certain type of ambition that begins in noble roots, conviction, clarity, even calling. But either as these are naive and therefore subject to manipulation, or we eventually trade the simple nobility for the bounty that comes with it. The ambition becomes loud, prideful, and most dangerously, and yet widely prescribed, measured, monitored, posted, and polished. We optimize everything. Our routines, our sleep cycles, our macros, our journal prompts. But in the process, we forget to ask whether the soul that began the pursuit is still in the room with us. After a few months of running and working out and climbing the corporate ladder, I looked at myself, hoping to find accomplishment as I was finally fluent in discipline, fluent in execution, fluent in forward momentum. Sadly, we often sacrifice the very reason we started in pursuit of these. That's the danger of loud ambition. It drowns out the quiet voice that loved the thing in the first place. We begin to mistake progress for presence. See, the flesh can only mimic discipline. The flesh can only imitate hunger. But the spirit doesn't strive to prove. It moves in alignment, patience, self-control. Discipline without presence becomes performance. Presence without the Spirit becomes emptiness. Now, your goal might have been to become utterly unrecognizable. Therefore, shedding every trace of who you were was part of the plan. And as someone who values who I've become a lot more than who I once was, I understand the relentless sprint from the specter of the past. But I believe that transformation isn't about loss. It's about remembrance with grace. Because if you lose all memory of who you were, even your healing forgets what it was for. All you are doing is training a faster quitter. He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. Orientation shares the stage of importance when building out an existence where you own the imperium. I have found that there is an intrinsic emptiness in dominion without personal validation. I can hear the same hollow echoes of mastery sadly suffuse through an empty kingdom. When I face burnout, I do not confound it with exhaustion. Burnout for me is inspired when the meals are prepped, the skin is clear, the money is consistent, the calendar is tight, but the soul stirs, discontent, whispering, "This isn't it." See, it's not chaos that breaks most people. It's arrival. It's the brutal silence of getting what you wanted and feeling no different. In my experience, once I finally felt comfortable, I was forced to face what no productivity system could solve: the ache for meaning, the ache for alignment, the realization that even the highest functioning version of you still needs a North Star that isn't built from achievement. The Spirit in Galatians talks about how not to condemn the pursuit driven by the flesh, but to expand upon it in all aspects and desires. The flesh disciplines to control outcomes, relationships, commerce. True control, however, is beyond our mortal and finite frameworks. There is always something better out there. Through dating, job hunting, traveling, existence is forever fleeting. The Spirit, however, disciplines to be truly free. There is a pervasive form of contemporary violence, activism, and overwork. The frenzy of the activist neutralizes his work. It destroys the fruitfulness of his own work. So far, this may view akin to an antonym for action. The inclusion of Merton may reinforce that idea. However, the warning is actually against the violence of unrooted motion. The most dangerous kind of burnout isn't the collapse. It's the frenzy that still looks like purpose. You're doing the work, you're hitting the marks, but something inside is rotting. Galatians 5:16 is powerful in its strides. The Spirit moves with peace, with patience, with rootedness. That's why even the best actions, excellence, discipline, eventually can sour when they are unanchored. The frenzy of routine neutralizes the growth. It drains the fruit of its sweetness. You can be producing so much, yet bearing absolutely nothing. That's the violence. And it's so quiet, most people won't even notice until they're too tired to hear the love anymore. Frenzy is a form of faithlessness. The belief that if I stop moving, it all falls apart. There is no fruit in the flinch, only in the rooted branch. Regardless if you call it God, the Holy Spirit, as I do, or you call it stillness, peace, or even something you personally haven't named yet, the point is unified. Orientation matters in self-improvement. Movement, even when it's masterful, can still be misguided. Growth isn't about detaching from your past, but being reconciled to it with grace. The olive branch to extend is not to abandon your ambition, your excellence, or your pursuit of more, but to root it, to anchor it in something higher than metrics, deeper than performance. Because the most powerful thing you can do with your potential isn't work to claim it, but actively work to align it.